you've chosen to come and worship with us this morning. And I just want to start off with a few announcements. And you've got your bulletin. You can pull that out. There's a section on the back page that has some announcements. Just want to run through those real quick. And if anyone else has something you want to do, sort of raise your hand. So we've got a youth hangout this afternoon. I don't know, Brad, if you want to say anything more to that, or just be here at 3 o'clock.
We'll be here at 3. We're going to have pizza and a bunch of bread.
Okay.
I do have another youth.
Go ahead.
If you have a child that's in 6th grade, that's going up to 7th grade, this is the first year that they're allowed to go on the beach trip with us. So we'd love to have it. It's in the end of July. So just see me, and if they're in 6th grade, going into 7th, they can come with us for the first time.
All right, let's keep that in mind. Food bank this Thursday at 10 a.m. If you want to come and help with that, I'm sure they would not turn you away if you wanted to volunteer, so keep that in mind. Next Sunday is Mother's Day, and I think we have a few of those around here. And we'll be recognizing, and then there will also be recognizing our graduates for this year. So that'll be next Sunday, and there will be no evening service next Sunday. Children Hymn and Prayer is Thursday the 18th. Hearts of Joy, May 19th at Home Against Civil Votes. And then we have a wedding coming up here, Kaylin and Austin, on May 20th. That will be here at Parkview at 5 p.m. And it says we are all invited, so all y'all just show up. Let's see, then we have a deacons meeting the 21st. And looks like the church office will be closed May 29th on Memorial Day. Anyone else have any announcements this morning? Go ahead.
I just want my church family to know we have a praise and it went right. Dr. Stokes did the results of the 60 scan. Everybody's good. It's been cancer-free for 4 years.
Adults, if you are planning to go on the September bus trip to see the Ark and the Creation Museum, you must make a commitment and sign that sheet in the hallway. We only have 22 at this time. We require 30 or more in order for the trip to make. The deposit for that trip is due May 24th. Please see me if you have any questions or need more brochures.
All right, any other announcements? Yes, thank you. There is no children's church today, so all you children, we're going to stay in here for the duration of the service. Now that sounds terrible, but I'm sure you're going to be. I'm sure you will be blessed today as Brother Stephen comes and shares with us this morning. Brad Stevens, if you would stand up and lead us in prayer this morning.
Well, thank you for another day, another Sunday that we can come here. We can hear from you, and we can feel your presence. God, we ask you here today to move in our church. And God, I'm grateful for what you've done in the life of Stephen Parker and Christy and Cole and Jackson and their family. And God, for the miracle that we've seen, and what seems so great to us is simple to you. And so we give you praise for that, and give you glory for that. And we thank you for that, God. As you be with Stephen and Christy as they sing and speak today. Thank you for all who are visiting with us today, God. May you give us a special word from you, and we become closer with you and stronger in our faith because of what we hear today. And God, we praise you and thank you for this day. In Christ's name.
Amen. As you sort of look around, we have, like I said, a lot of visitors with us this morning. And so as we stand up, and we have a time of fellowship, let's make sure we make our visitors feel welcome this morning. morning from 1 Chronicles chapter 16. It says, "Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. And let men say among the nations, the Lord reigns. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the fields rejoice, and all that is therein. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever." Join with us this morning as we continue singing Holy Ground.
We ask all this in Jesus' because I wanted to pick the right song that would convey my heart of what the Lord has done in our family and how He's held us in His hand through the past several months, actually through 19 years. And so this song, I want you to listen to the words of it. I didn't find it till yesterday because I just was trying to find the right song, but it just says everything that I wanted it to say, because I knew it was the right song when it said, I held you in your arms and I carried you to show that I would never forsake you. And that's exactly what He did. It felt like 1,000 miles that He took us, but He held us in His arms and He didn't forsake us. And I know many of you sitting in the pew may be going through some really difficult, dark times. And I just want you to know that He is there, and even when we don't feel it, He's there. I read somewhere this week that feelings don't have intellect. And it's the truth, because sometimes you can know it in your mind and you don't know it in your heart. You can't feel it, you can't feel it, but you know it's true. And so I just want you to listen to these words and know that He will not forsake us. I wanted to read this one scripture, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand."
Walking on the water, even when I could not see.
Some of you that are visiting with us come to hear our pastor, Brother Glenn. I am not he. You're disappointed, and in about 30 minutes I'll disappoint the rest of you. But I am grateful. I'm grateful for everyone here this morning. I thank you. I thank you for being here for several reasons. But I just wanted to come before you and tell you how much I appreciate everything that's been done for me and my family. My family's just been great in itself. You know, Christy's hung in there with me. Matter of fact, she's been the driving force of me getting well most of the time, and my boys had to deny themselves a lot this year for things that's going on with our family, and I appreciate that. And I have some of my extended family here as well, and they've gone above and beyond to help us and do things for my brothers in the balcony. And they were all there when I woke up after my surgery, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciate y'all. And my church family has just been marvelous. If you don't have a church home, I promise you, and you want to be loved on, then you need to join this church, because they could not have been any more supportive to us. I have many co-workers here this morning, and they're more than co-workers, they're my friends. And I'm grateful that they're here, and they've done so much for me. And then friends, I have some wonderful friends. Friends, well, I've already mentioned a bunch of them, but just people that may not fall in those categories. Me and my family are truly blessed. We are absolutely truly blessed. I can't thank you enough for the support from the cards and the calls, the texts, the gift cards, the financial aspects of it. We are truly grateful, and we have truly been blessed. And God heard our prayers, and He heard your prayers, and He began to move, and He done something wonderful in my life. And it's a miracle how it all happened, and I want to share a lot of that with you today. But God hears our prayers. He don't always hear them in the time frame we want Him to hear them. You know how it is. We want to pray, and we want things to happen right away. And it doesn't always happen like that. And I don't know all the things that He's doing, but I do know He never forsakes us. I do know He's there with us, and He's always working. And He did it even in the life of His people in the Old Testament. Have you ever gotten to a point where you just become weary of praying? You pray for something so long, day in and day out, week in and week out, months go by, and years go by. And then when you start passing the decade, you know, you just begin to wonder, God, are you ever going to answer my prayer? Not that we doubt His existence or His power to do so, but God, are you ever going to do it for me? Are you ever going to answer my prayer? God's people must have had the same questions. I think about the life of Joseph, and you know what all Joseph went through. I mean, Joseph, you know, God, going back, God promised Abraham that he would have a nation one day. And, you know, Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob and Esau. Jacob had 12 sons, one of them being Joseph. Joseph's brothers, one day saw him coming and threw him in a cistern. They didn't like him. And, you know, we won't get into all the things there, but they just didn't like him. They threw him in a cistern. He later, of course, you know, imagine being Joseph and your brothers threw you in a cistern, not knowing what's going to happen to you. I mean, I have two brothers, and I can just imagine Joseph's prayers. You know, I know what mine would have been. You know, God, would you just bring a tiger and attack both of them? But you know, think about it. Your own family throwing you in a cistern. Then they sold him to the Ishmaelites. Joseph, not knowing, you know, where it was going. You know, I can just imagine his prayers. God, what's going on? You know, I haven't done anything wrong. Why am I going through this? The Ishmaelites took him and sold him to Potiphar. And now he's a slave of Potiphar. Actually, worked his way up. God blessed him in Potiphar's home, but still, he didn't have a family. what's going on? Why am I having to go through this? When will you answer my prayer? When will you restore me back to where I was? Well, Joseph continued being a man of character, a man of integrity, done everything right. Potiphar's wife made advances to him, and Joseph wouldn't have anything of it. Joseph fled. Well, Potiphar's wife lied. Now, Joseph, doing the right thing, being in God's will, doing everything God wanted to do, then found himself in prison. And you know, he interpreted some dreams for the cupbearer and the baker. And when the cupbearer was restored, you know, hey, remember me now. Remember me when you get out. They didn't remember Joseph. For two more years, he was in prison. I can just imagine, God, why am I in prison? What have I done to cause me to be in prison? 2 years later, the king had a dream. The cupbearer then remembered Joseph. Joseph interpreted the dream, and we know he wound up being in charge of all of Egypt. All the things that went on. You know, God, what's going on? Why am I in this valley? Why does this journey have to be one that I'm taking? And he winds up in charge of all Egypt. You know, not that was Joseph's prayer to become there, but God began to move finally. After years, I don't know the time frame from when he was thrown in the cistern till he became Egypt, but I know it was several years. Several years he was in the valley, but then he became in charge of Egypt. God had a plan. God had a plan for Joseph's life. Well, then you know the rest of it. As the story continues, God's people, the ones that were promised to be a nation, wound up, you know, Joseph's brothers wound up before him because there was a famine in the land. Joseph was able to save his family. If Joseph hadn't gone through the path he went through, he would never be in a position to save his family, to save God's people, which was become the 12 tribes of Israel. But he was able to do it because God had a plan. Well, the people wound up being in Egypt, everything was going well. But then you know what happened. Joseph died, his family died, and the people forgot why all these Hebrews were here. Well, they're becoming more and more numerous. So they found themselves being in slavery, working for the Egyptians. Then they began to multiply. They began to get greater and greater in number. And the Egyptians were concerned, saying, you know, if someone tried to attack us, they would side with them. So we need to work them harder. So they made it harsher and harsher. I can imagine as it got harder, these are God's people. They belong to God. And they began to pray, oh God, would you help us? Would you help us get out of this terrible situation? Nothing happened. God didn't answer. Not that God wasn't working, because you know there was a boy that was born. The Egyptians went on to start destroying all the boy babies. But God raised up who? Moses. Well, look, while the people were praying, God, why aren't you here? Why aren't you moving? Why aren't you doing something? Moses was growing up. And it come a time when Moses was called to deliver the people from Egyptian bondage. Not only did he deliver them, when God answered, when they left, the Egyptians was giving them stuff. I mean, the Bible says that they practically plundered the place. They left with probably more than they came with. God finally answered. Wasn't in their time frame, was it? I suspect they started praying early on. Years went by. Matter of fact, Moses had to be born and raised up. Now, I don't know how old Moses was when he delivered people. I know when you watch the TV shows, he's always old gray-haired man. But I don't know if he was hey, maybe he was 25. I don't know. But God didn't answer in their time. God answered in his time. I don't know what all went on between that time. I'm sure God was moving. I know he was working. One thing, I know he was raising up Moses. The people wound up making it to the promised land one day, the land that God had promised them. They couldn't serve him, and they found themselves in Babylonian captivity. Some of you may remember that story, but for 70 years, they were in Babylonian captivity. 70 years. And I can only imagine the prayers that must have been going up. After the first few years, decades go by. God, we want our land Jeremiah 20, after 70 years, God spoke to the elders. And in Jeremiah 29:11, he said this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." After 70 years, God says, "I know the plans I have for you." Can you imagine, a 70-year-old was born when they went in Babylonian captivity. He prayed all his life. But finally, God answered. And he took them back. And we know the temple was rebuilt. But God done it in his time frame. I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. God doesn't seek to harm us. He seeks to prosper us. Now, he allows us to go through things. But that's what his children had to go through. And many more. You could have used countless examples in the Old Testament of his children that had to go through things. And God answered their prayers in his time. When I was 8 years old, I come forward and supposedly got saved, going to church. But from then on, I never really saw a change. And I actually was always scared I wasn't saved. When I was 17 years old, and Greg will remember this, but when I was 17 years old, I remember being fearful of dying. I didn't want to die because I was afraid I'd spend eternity in hell. So when I was 17 years old, I knelt right over here in our house with my dad and Greg and another friend of ours, and I asked the Lord to save me. I wish I could tell you from that time on I lived a great Christian life, but I didn't. But I was in his hands, and there was nothing I could do to be taken out of his hands. I became his child. Now, we all have different journeys. We all have our struggles, and we all have our valleys. Things that we have to go through as his children. Being his children doesn't negate us going through some tough times in our life. And I had to do the same thing. You come to a point where you're struggling. What we consider being worn down, God considers building up. It's those times when we beat down to our lowest point that God begins to change and move in our lives. I'm going to read this right here. Patient comes in today to discuss lab results which show abnormal liver functions. Abnormal liver function test positive ANA. The suggestion was to see a rheumatologist and a gastroenterologist for further evaluation of liver functions. This is Dr. Jeff Bush's notes for me, May 18, 1998. 1998, I was diagnosed with later went on to be diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, which is it's a disease, not a cure for it, but it's where my body started rejecting my own liver. I was 30 years old at that time. Me and Christy hadn't been married 2 years. And I'm being told that I have a disease, autoimmune hepatitis. Now, on the surface, that didn't mean a whole lot to me. But our doctor, when we sit down to talk to him, Dr. Alvarez says, he's a great doctor. He's been my doctor now for 19 years. And he has known what to do with me every time something's gone on. And we love and appreciate him. But our relationship started out a little rocky. Because the first time we met with him, the first thing he brought up to us is the possibilities of mortality. Now, a 30-year-old don't want to have a conversation about mortality. And at the very least, one day you're going to need a liver transplant. One day didn't affect me a whole lot. One day it could be, who knows when, it's not here and now. I began taking medicine. We didn't have any kids at that time. We had to come off medicine a couple of times, and God, even amongst that, blessed us with 2 boys, 2 healthy boys. Dr. Alvarez was involved in that, helping us plan and schedule with medications and stuff. But we began to pray. God, would you heal me? would you take this away? Our church prayed. Many people prayed, God, would you heal him? And, nothing happened. Nothing happened that we thought. Time went by, and a few years later, they started noticing some things in my test and wound up diagnosing me with another autoimmune disease, PSC. They found some things in my bile ducts that where I was having blockages. So I wound up with 2 autoimmune diseases, and of course that refreshed the need to pray. God, I don't want this. I don't want to have to go through. I didn't know what a transplant was like, but I knew I didn't want to go through it. God, would you take it away? But God blessed me during the time. Most of the time, I felt really well. I felt really healthy, and I didn't feel like anything was wrong with me, and I acted that way for a long time. 2012 was probably, and I went in the hospital a few times. They'd be in the hospital 2 or 3 days. When I came out, I'd run back at work like nothing had happened. 2012, I went in. They was wanting to do a procedure just to kind of figure out. One thing about PSC is there's a high risk of cancer in your bile duct. So they wanted to check and see if there was any cancer. And I wound up with a tube on my side, wound up getting some blood infections. I spent 30 days in the hospital at UAB, and most of y'all remember that. But it was a tough time, and for the first time, I recognized God changing who I was. You spend 30 days in the hospital, you're going to change into something. But I recognized him doing some things in my life, and he began to change me. But I still didn't want it. I didn't want it. We prayed and asked God, would you take it away? This has been 12, 13 years now. God, would you take it away? I don't want to go through this anymore. And I was doing right. I was trying to serve God, do everything He wanted me to do. And God, would you help me? Matter of fact, I don't know why we think we have to be desperate to do the things that God's Word tells us to do. But I was desperate. And I said, you know what? I've read this passage over and over. I knew it was here. But I always thought that's a little too radical. But when you get desperate, you do radical things. So in James chapter 5, verse 13, this is what it says. Wait a minute, that's the wrong number. But I didn't write anyway. I'll just quote it. It says, "Is anyone among you sick? Let them call for the elders of the church, praying over him, anointing him with oil." And then he goes on to say, "The prayer of a righteous one availeth much." God's Word said, look, is anyone sick? Then call for the elders, anoint him with oil, ask for forgiveness for your sins, and you'll be healed. That's exactly what I did. I didn't make a big spectacle about it. We didn't do it in front of the church, but I had asked a few men to meet privately with us in an office. 2 of those men's in heaven today. But I did exactly what God's Word told me. I believed He'd heal me. And nothing happened at that time. Years went on, and everything was, going pretty well. I didn't even think about what was one day going to come. It wasn't important because it felt like so long. I was feeling so good. I was healthy. I was normal. I was just like everybody else. Last year, 2016, came in the middle of the year. Things began to worsen for me. Broughton worked me too hard one day. We worked together the day before I went to the hospital. But things began to kind of go down. I went in the hospital, and I'd done that several times, but this time, when I come out, I wasn't better. I was used to going in and coming out and feeling better. And I went through a period of time where my faith was challenged. Not did you believe in God or did He have the power, but I really just said, is he really going to do anything for me? You know, is he going to answer my prayer? And I finally decided, as best I could, in my mind and in my heart, I said, you know what? Regardless if he does another thing for me, he's deserving of our worship. Regardless if he hears me, I don't serve him or worship him because of what he does for me. I serve and worship him because of who he is. And I honestly come to that conclusion. And it'd be great to say then, everything didn't heal me, but it did. Matter of fact, I went back in the hospital a few more times that year. I was in the hospital during Thanksgiving holidays, and I was in the hospital during Christmas. Christmas Eve, spent in the hospital. And I'm grateful for those who come to visit during those holidays. Holidays can be a lonely time to spend in the hospital, especially Christmas Eve. And we had a family who stayed with us, I don't know, 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve. And kept us from being on. Some things you'll always remember. But at the end of the year, we realized, and I would pray, I wish, I would say, God, I wished I walked with you so close that I would know just when to relocate to Jacksonville. We had been encouraged to do that for a while, but I didn't want to do that. I mean, I couldn't afford it for one thing, and I had 2 boys in school. But at the end of the year, I couldn't drive, and I couldn't work. I guess that's God's way of saying, now it's time. I guess he knew I was going to be too dumb to listen any other way, so I just have to make him where he can. And then maybe he'll go. And I even tried to talk myself out of it. We didn't make our mind up to the end of December. And January 2nd, off we went. And I just hated it for the boys. And I said, well, maybe, I told Christy, maybe we can just take something. Maybe they can do something for me. Let's make it till summertime. I don't want to do that. And I can just imagine God up there saying, you don't know what I have for you. Don't wait till summertime. You don't know what I have for you. And he must have been telling Christy too, because she was pretty hard-headed about it. She said, we got to go. So we did. On January 2nd, we packed up the car and we took off to Jacksonville. And didn't have anywhere to live. We just went. For the first time, I guess we just stepped down and said, God, you're just going to have to make it happen. We did have a family, Robert Thompson's cousin. They introduced us to them. And we knew them, and they had told us that their home was open to us anytime. That's an interesting story. We prayed, many of you may remember, Robert mentioning Aubrey Thompson. We prayed for him. I prayed for Aubrey specifically by name. And now here I am in his home with his family. What a wonderful family they were. We only stayed with him 2 days. Matthew 17:20, Jesus was talking, and he said, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed is a mighty small seed, then you can ask this mountain to move, and it'll move. And it don't take much faith to do that. Well, God began to move. You were praying for us, and we were praying, and God was listening. And God was doing things all along, but now he was doing things that we could see. After 2 days, we found an apartment. That apartment, or should I say God provided us with an apartment. That apartment was, we needed to be close to the hospital. That apartment was 7 miles from the clinic. It was completely furnished. It come with you had to only stay 3 months, and then you could renew your lease, or you could ask to come out of it. It was furnished with dishes, towels, everything we needed. We didn't have to turn on anything. Everything was on, no deposits or anything from that regard. So, we feel God provided that for us. They told us to be prepared to wait 6 to 9 months for a phone call. My transplant score was not a very high score, But I would have these infections, and I'd been septic a few times, and I needed a liver worse than my score would say. So they began talking to us about considering a high-risk liver. A high-risk liver is a liver that they've checked it for all they can check it for. Maybe it had some minor things wrong with it, or the person had done some things that they ought not have done the night before or so, and wound up, losing their life, and they couldn't say for sure whether anything was contracted during that time or not. But they said we may want to consider that. That would possibly get us one a little faster. We were there 52 days, less than 2 months. On a Thursday night, I got a phone call. The phone call we've been waiting on for a long time. And the lady said, "Is this Stephen Parker?" Something we've been waiting to get. And I started to say, "You got the wrong number." It scared me. I'd love to tell you I was brave, and it scared me. But I said, "Yeah, this is Stephen Parker." At barbecue, I guess we'd eat barbecue. At barbecue all over here. They said, don't worry about changing, just don't worry about packing bags, just get here as soon as you can. We have a liver for you. God has provided a liver. That's when you're supposed to get the discussion of everything wrong with the liver. And we didn't have that discussion. We didn't have that discussion because nothing was wrong with it. God had provided a liver that was nearly perfect. Nothing to talk about. It was a good liver. The surgeons even talked about, this is a good liver. What a blessing. A lot of patients go through a liver transplant. They said you'll probably come out and need to go in the ICU for a couple of days. I didn't go to ICU. I went straight to a hospital room. A lot of patients take insulin when they come out for a while because of all the steroids they give you. And I didn't take any insulin. I didn't have to do either of those because God was performing miracles. He was just showing out. And we was loving it. I mean, everything went so wonderful. Having a transplant, relocating and all that can be a financial burden. God saw to it to foot the bill for mine through the generosity of His people. I have everything we receive, we put in our budget in a medical fund. And to this day, we've paid everything. I haven't received the final bill from the transplant. They told me a year while back, looking at my insurance now, they said your part of the actual transplant will be $6,000. Guess how much is in the medical fund account? $5,800. I must have misspent $200. Or maybe I'll get a bill for $5,800. God's a personal God. And you think He ain't personal. I'm sure there's a little something here and there, but we wrote everything down. And we know what we paid out to all the medical things, and that's just what it is. God took care of it. That's a miracle in itself. God has been so good to us. He's touched our family in ways that I could never explain to you. But, the last thing is a couple of days in after transplant. I don't know, but somehow me and Christy was in there when the surgeon come back, and we began talking about the donor. And that's kind of overwhelming. I don't mind telling you, I cried like a baby. It was hard to swallow, but then I got to thinking, and I would never take anything away from that family for what they've done for me. I don't make light of it. It was the greatest decision. But He didn't die for me willingly. But Jesus Christ died for me willingly, and He died for you willingly. He laid His life down, and He knew it all He was going to have to go through to do it, because that's how much He loved us. John 10:10, is Jesus speaking. He said, "For I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it abundantly." God desires that none of us leave this earth and spend eternity without Him. That's not His desire. Hell was created for the devil and all his demons, and anyone that goes there is because they chose to go there. God made a way that we didn't have to go there. God died, and He took the penalty on Himself that we deserve. And I would hate for anyone to leave this earth not knowing for sure that you're safe and secure in eternity. You know, we tend to put those things off. There was a 10-year-old just the past week or two lost a life right here on our streets. That 10-year-old probably thought they had a lot of time left. You know, you just never know. But God came, Jesus Christ came that we might have life. That we might have life. So as the musicians come forward, I want to ask you, do you know? Do you know that you have life? I want to ask Brad and Alan also if they would come. We're going to have a couple of guys down front here. So if anyone would like to come and learn how to be saved, it's an easy process. It's a short process. You know, you can actually do it in your pew. You can pray a prayer, and you can tell God that, you know, admit you're a sinner. I've done wrong, God. Believe that Jesus Christ came to this earth, lived a sinless life, died on the cross to save our sins, went to the tomb, and was raised 3 days later. And then you need to confess Him. You need to ask Jesus Christ to come into your life and save your soul, and He'll do it. It's that simple. If you'd like help with that, that's what these guys are for. If you'd just like to come to the altar and pray, we use our altar right regular here at Parkview, so don't think that you're going to be the only one or fearful that folks are going to look at you funny. It gets used quite regularly. So feel free to come pray if you'd like to pray at the altar. But I just want to remind you that Jesus Christ loves you, and He hears your prayers. He knows where you're at. He's right there with you, regardless of how we feel. He's there, and He can fix it. He may not fix it in your time, but He's listening. He's capable of performing miracles, I promise you. I thank you all for coming today. There's still some praying, and hey, if you still need to come, that'll be fine too. We're a little different. I'm grateful for each one of you. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for what God done for me. You know, if there's one thing I want everybody to leave here knowing is, you know, God did it. I think that was the first things I said when I woke up. You know, He did it. And He did. And He's continuing to do it. He's still in the miracle working business. I promise you. And He hears you. I mean, He knows where you are. He knows our hurts. He knows where we are, and He listens. And again, I'm just so thankful you worshiped with us this morning. And I hope you have a blessed day.
Let's join hands as we have our closing song this morning.